So my name is Alec Bagdasarian. I'm the product specialist here at Information Integration Group, and I'm going to show you our container tracking enhancement we published for Acumatica. So here is the list of enhancements that we have. Some of the enhancements to the right are just what we've added to our library of products for Summit 2021. And it includes things like QC management, sales order, build to custom at the sales order level, core processing, and some of the others. So what the AcuContainer enhancement does, it gives you the ability to generate container transactions and enter what products are coming your way in each container. So you can load a complete PO, certain lines of a PO, or partial quantity of a PO line. And you have the ability to track the status of the container. Is it on the water? Is it an overseas transportation, inland transportation, in customs? We manually change the status of the container. We would auto-calculate the duty and tariff based on the custom classification code that you assign to the stock item. For those situations where your FOB is foreign dock, we will let you receive that inventory into an in-transit warehouse. So you can see that in your financial statements. Products are received in the in-transit warehouse at the PO cost and are reversed out when the product lands in your main warehouse. In-transit warehouses are assigned to vendor or a destination warehouse, or by destination warehouse by vendor. So if you have Los Angeles and New York warehouses, you can see what products are coming to Los Angeles, what products are coming to New York by each vendor, from each vendor. We will let you enter your landed cost information specific to a container, so you don't have to wait till the product comes in. We'll allocate that cost to the product, so you'll see what the total cost is becoming. Container tallies gives you the ability to receive the container in the warehouse, open it, and enter what was received in that container by item. Then from there, we will generate the receipt of good transactions, one per vendor. Fair to mention that you could have products coming from multiple vendors in one container. We have some inquiries and reports that show you container information. We also have the ability to set up the system so where you enter an expected or an actual ETA date, it goes back to the purchase orders and update those. Will show you what's in each container. We also have the ability to manage containers when you ship a container load to a customer or from one warehouse to the other. So the same way we allow you to load items from purchase orders into a container, we allow you to load items from your shipment transactions in Acumatica into a container and build a container that you're shipping to someone. So you can print a bill of lading showing what's in that container going to a customer from one warehouse to the other. In work right now, we're adding the ability so we will track the digital ID of each container for you, and we'll show that actual container on the map where it is. So this is a program form where you set up all the different statuses. These statuses are user defined. You can have as many of them as you want. This is where you enter the information for each custom classification code. Electronics, the percentage is 7%, then which countries has what tariff. So you enter that information. So when you create the container record, it loads those duty and tariff lines into the transaction as landed costs. This is where in the stock items of Acumatica, you assign the custom classification code to that item, and you'll see the available ones there. This is as part of purchase order preferences. You tell the system whether you are calculating customs their tariff, whether you want to process in transit, management posted to in transit warehouse. So most of these things are optional. Whether you want to change the PO promise date based on the actual or estimated arrival dates that you enter. So this is a container transaction. So we're just creating container number 4 here on this screen. And we notice that it has different tabs and header information. So here we're telling in the detail tab that in this container, we have from PO 52, these 2 items, and we have from PO 851, this item with the quantity. So at our point in time, we'll show you of an item, how many you have on other containers, what you have in this container, what you have in transit. Of course, you can click on the IN and see the information for the issue receipt generated for the in transit postings. You could view the PO from here. So PO has other lines being. This is the dates tab, and in the dates tab, you enter some informational. So you could enter and based on expected arrival and actual arrival date. We go back to the PO promise date and change those information. Again, a setting for you. Some other information. This is where you enter the landed cost, as many landed costs that you want. You can enter and it will go ahead and allocate these expenses to the lines that are coming to you in that container. This is basically with the cost allocated, so the cost gets allocated to the line. You can print a container transaction. This is a program where you basically receive the product into an in-transit warehouse. So this inventory gets received into an in-transit warehouse, and again, it's reversed out. But it gives you the ability on sales orders, you see exactly what's in the in-transit warehouse, what's coming your way, and just include that in your replenishment calculation. You can click on see that. Container tallies gives you the ability to enter what you received in the warehouse when you open the container in your warehouse. Here is where you can import the tally into the container and generate the receipt of goods. Now, we also have a ability to generate PO receipt, as we talked about, see the landed cost for the receipts, and basically this is the SO container. So if it applies to your business, you can create containers on the shipping side, load items from the shipments into it, and print a bill of lading and have visibility over what's coming your way in a container. So this is a PO container transaction. So if I click plus, I'll be adding a new container. So for the purpose of this demo, I just went ahead and created 2 purchase orders in the system, basic purchase orders, nothing unusual about them, approve them. So it could be receiving them here. So you enter the vendor number, the container number, container status. Again, these container status are user defined. You can have as many of them as you want. You could have even a status of planning as you're planning your product. So the country code is important because based on that, we calculate the tariff for you if it's applicable. Then you can enter a complete PO or lines of a PO. So what we're going to do is select a PO and basically do a sort of descending, see the purchase orders, and there's 2 purchase orders here and 1 purchase order. I'm going to select it and I'm going to have it load the quantities and do an add and close. So it would basically from purchase order 27, it would load these 2 items with these quantities. Just to show you the PO lines, I could do this, click on PO lines instead of maybe this PO, select another PO and decide whether I want to load all items or just one item, load the entire quantity, or just load a quantity of it. So that I can uncheck that and enter that about from this view, receiving only 18 of it or whatever. So those you have the ability to check and enter the information. So here, we'll do this and basically enter any quantities that we want, do anything that we want here. So add and close, so this lines get loaded and this information gets loaded here. So now I can remove it off of hold, save it, and I have container number, transaction number 130 created. I could see here it's calculated customs and tariffs for me for the proper amount to see where that information comes from. If I click on this line, you would see that we've added a custom classification code to the stock items. And if I click here, you would see that I've told it that what the duty percentage is and what the tariff by country is. So the system would know how to calculate and post here the land costs for me, the 2 of them. I can add additional landed cost types, as many of them on inland transportation, other seas transportation, brokerage fees, anything that I want, and this cost is tracked. Now, what we do in this enhancement, when we let you create this container transaction for after you approve the PO with the vendor, then we would basically let you enter your landed cost information here. We'll let you receive it in transit warehouse, but when you receive it in your main warehouse, we'll go ahead and hand this over back to Acumatica. We'll create the landed cost transaction. We'll create the receipt of good transaction for you, so you have visibility over all those things. So we saw the details. So we, and if I come in here, I'll see the duty amount for each line, the tariff amount, any other allocated costs for the freight that we allocated to the transaction. You will see it right here. Now I could come in here and enter dates. I could tell it that I'm expecting it to leave 2021, expected arrival date maybe 09/02/2021. Payment would be due 09/04/2021. And then I could keep coming back to this transaction, change the status of it, it's underwater, or actually tell it that it actually left 04/2021. Actual arrival, again, when it does finally come here, I could come here and tell it when I got it. If when I entered the actual arrival, I can enter the broker date. Some other fields become available for me that I can load, and on and on. Delivery number and so forth. So now the nice thing about it is in any Acumatica screen, I can go to, like, for example, inventory allocation detail and bring up the item and see that in all the warehouses or in the wholesale warehouse, what quantity I have in containers and exactly what container numbers they are. If I'm also using the sales order side, what sales order containers I have this product. And so I have the ability to see this. Also, on the purchasing side, I have the ability to bring up my purchase order and see one or many container that each line is coming in. The next thing we're going to do is going to go to the container and receive this product into in-transit warehouse. Again, it's optional. You don't have to do it. But if you wanted to do that, you basically can come in here and have the system show you the containers and basically say this container is coming, and it basically will load the quantities here. You have the, once you run the register, it will create a receipt transaction in Acumatica in the in-transit warehouse that set up and move these quantities into that warehouse. The quantities will be moved to the warehouse at the PO cost and will be reversed out when the product is received in your main warehouse. So this kind of gives you the ability to have visibility in your financials or different reporting that this inventory is owned by you if your FOB is foreign documents, so forth. So now if I click on IN documents, I can see the inventory documents generated for each one of them. Okay. So it would show me this information. So it went into in-transit warehouse, quantity 25 of it at the PO cost. Now this in-transit warehouses are linked to vendor or by destination warehouse by vendor, so you could do that. So the next thing perhaps is, going back to PO container, changing some dates, changing status. So when folks looking at it from, different screens, they can see that, okay, now it's in domestic transportation mode or whatever. So you can keep changing this, and notice that you also have all this information for you, the cubic weight and volume. So if you're doing your planning, you can see that. The next thing that happens to you is that you basically receive the product in the main warehouse, and you can go do what's called tally entry. So you can bring up the container, and as you basically count it, you may say, okay, we got 24 of that, 40 of this, 20 of this, and 30 of this. Now, what we do is when you have quantities here that is different, we will reverse out the in-transit posting, but we'll generate a pure receipt based on this quantity, not that, and you would deal with it like you would deal with any other container, PO situation, call the vendor and say, well, really got 24, not 25. And once we bring up that PO again, we could easily just say import tally. It would import the tally quantities for us. We could save it, and then we could basically click on generate pure receipt, and it would generate the pure receipts for that for us based on what we have said we received, based on what costs you've had, and on and on. So it's a very straightforward, very easy to use enhancement that gives you visibility over what's on the water coming your way. You can then move it off of hold, release it, just use it. So this is the part that we back into Acumatica. So we create a PO receipt one per vendor. So so this is at the point where we hand the information back to Acumatica from our container to you always have access to information at the container level. What were your expenses for the container, brokerage fee, and so forth and so on. But once you hand it over to Acumatica, they're all created here for the PO receipt as if you went through them. So this is a quick overview of our container tracking enhancement. So it's very easy to set up, and it does what it needs to do for the purpose of giving you visibility over what you have on the water.